All right, so today we're going to talk about tapas. This is one of the niyamas, these kind of personal disciplines that we can cultivate. Um, Tapas is also, like finger food, Spanish finger food that you go to happy hour and have, but that's not the kind that we're talking about today. So the word tapas means fire. And really, it's about self-discipline. And this, my favorite quote I've ever heard about it is the willingness to endure strong sensation in the service of transformation. So, the things that we do that create some staying power within us, that cultivate endurance, tolerance, our increased capacity for maintaining the ability to stay even when things get difficult. So a sense of austerities, catharsis, there's lots of ways to look about tapas, but ultimately it's to build strength and character within us so that when we meet up against the challenges of life, we have the strength and resiliency and fortitude to be able to handle what comes at us, to be able to manage challenge, which of course it happens all the time. So the goal specifically, in our yoga practice is to change non-supportive habits that we have into more supportive habits. And this is body-mind habits, not just body habits. So a lot of times it means that we need to forsake momentary pleasure in order to have future reward, kind of like saving for a rainy day. So we put a lot of deposits in the bank so that when we need to reach in and use some of that energy that we've cultivated, we have it available to us. So ultimately, discipline brings freedom. And, when you first think of that, it can be like, how can discipline bring freedom? Discipline brings restraint. But really, it is this sense of restraint and discipline that we cultivate that allows us to be free from the bondage of desire, whatever that might be. So we can resist the simple pleasures in order for long-term gain more easily. So we become masters of ourselves, of our body and our mind, and we can create a better version of ourselves with this sense of self-discipline. So there's so many quotes that talk about this, right? Like, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. If at first you don't succeed, try it again. Only failure is failure to try. Practice makes perfect. All the things that helps us to be consistent in a disciplined action of some kind. And really the base of what we need for this is fearless courage to face challenges. So this shows up in so many different ways, but on our yoga mat, it could be simple things like, do you avoid certain poses because you don't like them or they're hard? Are you able to practice the art of staying for just a little bit longer? And it doesn't even have to be in something that's physically challenging. It could be something that's very mentally challenging. How many times have you tried to sit in meditation and you're like, oh, I'm just going to get up? Or even shavasana, to have the discipline to stay and let your body sink into rest is sometimes just as challenging or more challenging than being able to stay within effort. So knowing yourself, where that effort and ease kind of balances out, can be a very good thing. And if we are able to stay in the heat, if we're able to stay in the fire, then perhaps we can be blessed by the very thing that's causing us pain and suffering. So think of the times in your life when you've met up with challenge, doesn't matter what kind of challenge it is, where you've come out the other side, having been through the fire, and you feel stronger, wiser, more capable, more resilient than when you moved in toward that experience. And this isn't something that just happens. We have to cultivate our capacity for this. And sometimes I fear that children, today, it's our nature to swing pendulums, right? And I don't know about you, but I was raised with a lot of discipline and a lot of resiliency training, if you will, both physically and mentally. There was always, there was just a lot in that way for me growing up. And I feel like sometimes a lot of children I see today aren't given the challenge of discipline as much as I was as a child. So I worry sometimes that because the flip side of too much tapas, too much discipline, too much effort and strain can lead one to have that sense of breakdown or I don't know, just overwhelm. And I think we can swing the pendulum sometimes and try to care for others in a way that we don't want them to be burdened by challenge. And really, one of the greatest gifts we can do for those we love is to set them free into challenge and to give them the support that they need and trust that they will be able to manage their own challenges. So if you struggle with that, if you try to do everything for everybody else, if you, have a hard time kind of letting other people suffer in your presence, that can be part of your own tapas too, is allowing people to kind of struggle their way through their own challenge. I think you've all heard about butterflies, that a butterfly, when it's in its chrysalis, has to push and work really hard to get free of its shell. And this is necessary because the work of that is what pumps a lot of blood and energy through their wings so that when they do break free, they are able to fly. But if you break open a chrysalis for a butterfly, it makes the butterfly not be able to fly. It has to go through its own tapas, its own disciplined effort to have that sense of freedom. So we need to take this as a personal responsibility for ourselves. And it's not something that anybody can do for us or that we can do for anybody else. And then the last thing, I just want to, I just have in my notes to notice your tendency to either disassociate or to have staying power. Where are you on that pendulum swing when something gets difficult, like maybe a difficult conversation? Do you have the capacity to stay, or has your nervous system been overwhelmed and you tend to have that fight or flight kind of, or even more than a flight reaction, you have that freeze or fake reaction in your nervous system where you disassociate. So if that happens to you, your sense of self-discipline, first and foremost, is to heal your nervous system, to get to a place where you have the fortitude to manage stress better. So if you think tapas is, you have to go sit in an ice bath for 2 minutes, or you have to go climb a 14er, or you have to run a marathon, or you have to fast for a week, or these very extreme things sometimes can make us less resilient. Sometimes they can make us more resilient. So notice your own capacities and try to push to your edges in a very nourishing way so that you aren't ultimately depleting yourself. And this can be difficult, and it's always the striving balance we're searching for in our asana practice, in our life in general, to balance this effort and ease. So as we practice today, notice when you do feel like pulling away from a posture, ask yourself why. Do I need the rest, or is it just a habit that I rest right now? Or is it, yes, my nervous system really is stressed and I need more rest? So part of this self-discipline is this awareness of what your needs truly are, so that you can build the proper amount of resiliency that you can. Okay, so let us sit up straight and tall and take a moment. I promise you, we're not going to hold Virabhadrasana 2 for like 10 minutes or something crazy. So resiliency can be built in slow increments. It doesn't have to be so extreme. All right, so drop your awareness down into your body. See if you can ground yourself enough to notice your capacity to stay. So remember, tapas is not just about the body, but it's about the mind. Our ability to discipline the mind, to let the mind stretch in its capacities. So with your mind, Let yourself attune, focus on the body, and see if you can keep your attention. Soften your gaze, soften your eyes behind your lids so that there's ease in your skull. Melt anything that you have access to melting. How do you create efficiency in your body? Even just in a simple seated posture like this, how are you efficient in using your energy wisely? Often, if we can discover the leaks, where we leak energy and shore things up, this increases our staying power, our capacity to be willing to experience strong sensation in the service of transformation. So notice if you have any leaky places. Let your diaphragm be free so that your breath is the most supportive thing you have. Can you notice the efficiency of your spine? Can you pay attention to how your crown is landing over your pelvis and everything that happens in between? Do you tend to be lazy in one muscle group? Like maybe you just don't like to engage your core and you'd rather strain your back rather than use your core. A lot of these things are just habits. They're not capacities, they're just habits. So perhaps if that's what happens to you when you sit, see if you can engage a little bit more in your core, not so much where you can't breathe or you have strain. See if you can start to get uncomfortable or comfortable with the uncomfortable. As you have your core melt through the muscles between your shoulder blades. Place your palms together. Breathe in an intention. Maybe it has something to do with tapas. Release your hands. And let's find our way onto our backs on our mat. So sometimes tapas isn't just staying power in the sense of staying put in a pose that's difficult, like to the point where you're shaking or something like that. Tapas can also be doing unfamiliar patterns in the body. We all have familiar patterns in our body, things we like, movement patterns that we've honed and trained. And when we take ourselves away from the comfort of familiarity and we allow ourselves to stay there, this is part of tapas too. Just the willingness to stay in uncomfortable sensation. Okay, so let's stretch and move, open up your body, warm things up a little bit. You can reach the left side and then reach the right side. And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. And let's circle the knees, kind of moving one direction, moving another direction. Can we allow ourselves to stay long enough to be blessed by that which causes us suffering? What does that mean to you? Okay, let's open up the knees away from the midline and back toward the midline. Just feeling that sense of mobility in our hip joints. All right, right knee into the chest, left leg long on the ground. Roll around in your ankles, wiggle your toes, get your feet to enliven and wake up. Okay. Change sides, left knee and right leg long on the ground, and move around in your ankles and toes. Breathing well. All right, and knees into your chest, rock a little bit. We're going to come into happy baby pose. So just grab onto your feet or behind your knees and rock a little bit, swaying side to side. All right, then we're going to open up the left leg so you can tip a little bit to the left and let the left leg stretch open. If you can still hold your foot, great, but you can also grab your leg somewhere. And then back, and we're going to stretch the right leg open, keeping the left knee bent. Feel into the awakening of your inner thighs on this side. And then release. Stretch your body out to a star. Open up your body, roll your wrists, open, close your fists, move your feet. Exhale and knees into your chest, pick up your head. One more time. Inhale, open up. Find your body, exhale. Snug little ball. Head comes down onto the ground. Interlace your hands behind your head for a moment and feel the weight of your head rest down. Lift your legs straight up in the air. And then let's point and flex our toes while we're here. Breathing deeply. And roll around in your ankles if you want. Start to feel your core turn on. Find your breath, undo your arms, and stretch them over your head. Feel the deep length in your body. If this is too much for your back, make a different choice. Hands down at your sides instead. Reach and lengthen. We're going to open our legs out wide and bring our arms down and in between our legs. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, lift up again. Inhale, bring it on back, head down. Couple more. You can let your pelvis curl a little bit if need be. Just feeling your core wake up. One more. And the knees into the chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Arms straight out like a T. Drop your knees a little bit off to the left, maybe all the way to your elbow, maybe not. Bring your knees back up and over to the other side. So just going back and forth. It doesn't matter how far over you go. Just go as far as your body allows. Okay, so we're just waking up our core strength. Here's our obliques starting to wake up a little bit. How's your breath? Belly turning pose, kind of start to create a little bit of heat and fire in your center. And then relax, knees into your chest, head comes up. Inhale, starfish your body out. Exhale, knees into your chest. Okay. Release your head down. We're going to hold the right knee in, left leg long on the ground, and then switch. Left knee in, right leg long. And go a little faster, just moving back and forth between one and the other. So waking up, before the last core work we did was more for the obliques. Here, we're just engaging more through our hip flexors and our transverse abdominis. Make sure you're breathing. You can move as rapidly as you want. Start to feel your breath support you. All right, and then reach, lengthen your body. Big breath, and then knees in, and we're going to roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. All right, so finding cat-cows. Once you get onto your hands and your knees and you feel comfortable, start moving the spine. So arching, rounding the back. Moving with breath, take this opportunity to remember all your subtleties, the yielding, the breathing, seeking that balance of effort and ease, that we're not going to overstrain ourselves, but we're also not going to underdo our capacity. So your balance is just what it is. It's yours today. It's not what yours was yesterday or tomorrow. There's no judgments or expectations of what you're capable of doing. We're just moving into the edges. Okay. Right leg straight back behind you, 2 hands onto the ground. Take a deep breath in, exhale, knee to the chest. You can round a bit, chin in. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale in. Inhale back. Exhale in. All your breath out. One more time. And then release that knee, other side. Left leg out, engage your glutes, find your breathing, inhale. And as you exhale, squeeze all your breath out. And then when you feel balanced on your 2 sides, we're going to come back to child's pose and stretch your arms far around in front of you. Reach and lengthen as best as you can. Find your breath traveling. Then come back up onto all 4s. Lift the right arm up in the air. Find your breath. Exhale, slide that shoulder down and through. Keep your neck as relaxed and soft as you can. Melt a bit here. Feel the rib cage open. Neck is soft. And then inhale, reach that arm back up to the sky. Hand comes down, second side. Arm lifts up. Slide that arm through. Deepening the breath. Imagine that your breath is what stokes the fire, our ability to kind of nourish our capacities to move and stay. Now, reach that arm all the way back up. Hand comes down. Okay, root your hands well, and then find your way to dog pose. Just feel into this posture, so let your body have a little bit of sensation of dropping one heel down and then the other, kind of waking up the Achilles and the calves and the feet. Feel free to move around any way you want to. Discover your breathing. Long, spacious spine. All right, walk your feet forward, come into Uttanasana. Let the backs of your legs open, the back of your whole body. Really interlace your fingers behind your skull and a gentle tuck of your chin toward your chest, letting the back body open. Release the hands. Inhale for a halfway lift. You can have your hands on blocks or the floor or legs. And then melt and fold. Rising up, rock your seat, bend your knees, and lift all the way up to the sky. Big open breath. Feel that chest get broad and big. Shoulder blades down the back. Cactus your arms. Big breath in. Arms up again. Swan dive forward. Relax your neck. Try to bring your breath deeply into your body. Halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Step back to dog pose again. Hands are up at the front of your mat, grounding. And we're going to roll through our spine here for a bit into some planks. So round your spine a little bit, come forward, and then reach your heart forward into a plank, and then coming on back. All right, so twice more, rounding the spine, letting our chest and shoulders turn on. Once you get into the plank, stretch your heart forward, collarbones broaden, and then back one more time. Again, rounding forward, feeling that spine. Once you're in your plank, drop the shoulder blades down. Feel your chest move forward. Widen your collarbones. Okay, now let's just stay a little bit longer than we want to. Discover your breath. Even if you start to shake, Just stay. See if you can feel your rib cage expand outward to the side. Engage through your core. Breathing deeply. Okay, when you're ready, put your knees down, roll the shoulders a few times, let them open. Inhale, cobra pose. Chest is big and broad. Exhale, melt back down. Come up on tall fours. Move the spine about. Swish and sway. Back to child's pose. Settle your hips again. This time we're going to come up into a forearm plank or forearm dog pose, so dolphin pose. Hands are shoulder width apart. You can always put a block between your hands if you need to. Elbows, wrists, and shoulders line up. Inhale and come on up to a forearm dog pose, dolphin pose. Okay, so heart lifting toward the pelvis. Feel your shoulders lift up away from the ground. Can your breath move deeply through you? Can you melt your face a little bit? Feel that sense of softness. Stretch your femur bones up and back. Breathing well. We're going to turn this into a forearm plank. You can put your knees down for a moment and then walk your feet back so that you have that sense of balance. And you can have your feet hip width apart or wider or closer, whatever feels good. Integrate into the center of your body. Shoulders away from the ears. You can put your knees down on the ground if you feel like you need that for your shoulder stability. But see what you can do to maintain that sense of stabilizing through your core. Let your body shake. Breathing well. If you feel like you're straining a joint, you need to make a different choice. But if it's just the mind saying, I don't like that anymore, stay. And then back up to a dolphin. Walk your feet forward. And then see what you might be able to do to push your hands into a full dog pose. A long, spacious spine. Walk your feet forward, Uttanasana. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck. Maybe interlace your head again, maybe not. Inhale for a halfway lift. Get the spine to grow big and spacious. Melt and fold again. Drop your seat, rise up. Arms to the sky, trace down through the center line of the body. So start to notice. Sometimes our stubborn mind likes to overpower our body. Sometimes our not so stubborn mind tends to just give up on the body. Okay, so know where you are in that pendulum swing. And of course, with anything that we do today, if strain creates pain, this is what you want to avoid. Stay within your zones of safety, but step out of your zones of comfort. Figure out where those balances lie. Interlace your fingers behind your back, open your chest, come forward, let your neck relax, the arms away from your spine wherever they go. Release your arms down, inhale for a halfway lift, melt and fold. Let's step your right foot back. So our left foot is going to be forward. Come into a lunge. Start to open up some movement, bending and straightening your knee. Let your mind rest in the familiarity of this, that we're used to this. We do this all the time. There's comfort in it. So allow yourself to live inside that comfort for a moment. And then drop some attention into your lunge. Bend your front knee. When you feel ready, rising up. All right, so find your crescent lunge. Arms go where breath takes you. Okay, pay attention to joints. If there's strain anywhere or your breath gets taken away, make a different choice. If you can lunge an inch deeper, lunge an inch deeper. Press your front foot into the ground. Now to add a little extra challenge to this, take your arms out to the sides, close your eyes. Stay within the discomfort, okay? Let yourself wobble, engage your core. And then open your eyes, release your arms down, arms back up. Same leg, we haven't moved anything. Come forward, arms back by your sides. Reach your right arm out in front of you, left arm behind you. Feel your legs press into your front foot, rise all the way up, hand on hip, or you can even take that left hand behind your right leg. Find a big open chest, lean back a little bit if the body allows, come an inch deeper in your lunge. Press your front foot into the ground. Exhale, hands down onto the blocks or floor, walk your back foot forward. Melt, let ease happen. Breathing deeply. A halfway lift. Okay, now we get to bring our right foot forward and our left foot back. Finding a lunge here. Chest is broad and free. Let's start to bend and straighten the front knee. Breathing well. All right, and when you feel ready, stabilize your lunge. Get your legs where you want them to be. Round, and then rise on up. Now, if you're a little wobbly, no problem. Just be where you are. Just keep coming home into the pose. Reach your arms up if it's comfortable for your shoulders and breath. Come a little bit lower in your front knee. Bend it just a little bit more. Press your front foot into the ground. Feel the extension and reach through the body. Use your core to protect your back. When you feel ready, take your arms out to the sides. Focus your gaze on something very specific. Relax the shoulders down. Feel your weight of your legs. Make an imprint without your vision of what your body's doing. And then when you're ready, close your eyes. And just feel that imprint that you're still aware your proprioception is taking over for your vision. Press your front foot, maybe go a little deeper, lower sometimes feels more stable. And then open your eyes, arms coming back up. And we're gonna lean forward, arms behind us. Take your left arm out overhead, right arm behind you. Extend through your spine, press your front foot down again. Inhale, rise up. Hand can be on your hip, or you can take your right arm behind you to your leg. Stretch open to a little bit of a back bend if it feels nice to do so here. Come into your lunge again, press your foot down. Okay, unwind the posture, hands down, foot back, dog pose. Okay, so just let the pose dissipate out of your body. Finding your breath. Melt your skull. Come forward into a plank. Breathing deeply. Turn your navel to the right. Back to center. Turn your navel to the left. Back to center. Stay put. When you don't have the distraction of doing something else like turning, notice your mind. Breathing deeply. Let your breath travel to your ribs. Let your body shake. Commit to your core. Okay, and then put your knees down and rest in child's pose for a moment. Relax your legs. Deeply compress them. Full breath in, full breath out. Onto all fours. Right leg straight back behind you, left arm joins. Find your breath. Hang out there, and we're gonna take it out to the sides, arm and leg out to the sides, shoulders away from the ears, engage your core, plug your foot and your wrist into your core. And then back to center, deep breath. Exhale, elbow and knee come underneath you. Inhale, bring it out. Exhale, hand and knee down onto the ground. Second side, left leg out, right arm out. Thumb up, toes down. Integrate your ribs, knit them in, find your core. When you're ready, out to the sides, toes down, thumb up. Plug your leg and your arm into your center. Keep your neck neutral. And then come back out, hand and knee down onto the ground, dog pose. A full breath in, full breath out. Walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. A halfway lift, let your legs lengthen. Melt and fold. We're coming into chair pose. If you like a block between your thighs, by all means, take a block. Remember, we're paying attention to joints. We're staying within safety zones, but we're stepping outside comfort zones. Okay, so let your pose just be a little bit deeper. In what ways do you conserve? And see if you can notice the difference between efficiency and conservation. So you might think, well, I don't know how long she's going to keep me here, so I'll just bend a little bit. What would you do if you just fully committed to the pose, regardless? Abandon the idea of how long we're going to stay. Just go into your full depth of your posture. Knees back, heels grounding. Find your breath. Make a different choice with your arms if your breath steps away. Feel the heat of your legs. It's just sensation, strong sensation, but it's transforming. This is fire, right? So feel the fire, notice the transformation. Find your breath. So find the efficiency here. We're not necessarily trying to step away from the pose. We're going as deeply into it as we can, but then we settle something. Inhale, stand up straight and tall. Get rid of that block. Turn to the side edge of your mat. And legs wide. How many times have you noticed that a task that you don't think that you can do, whether it's a crossword puzzle or climbing up a hill, if when you create that resolute nature in your mind, your body usually follows. Okay, so let's find that resolute nature of commitment in the mind, discipline and commitment. Come into Virabhadrasana 2, arms coming up to begin. Find your breath and feel free, if you're like, oh, my hip needs a little nurturing to get in here, then, you find your way. And if when you get deep in the pose, your knee is struggling, back away. But try not to back away and be high just because you're trying to not wait to put more effort in. So notice why you stay in a certain position. If you stay high for a joint, great. If you stay high because you don't want to put the energy in, try going a little deeper. Drop the shoulders, melt something. Feel the efficiency of your breath. Drop your awareness into the centered gravity, feeling that sense that the weight of your legs is feeding the earth and you're being fed by the earth. Yielding is a beautifully efficient thing to do. It gives you energy in your body. Gaze out over your fingers. Stay in strong sensation. Reverse your warrior. Arm coming up. Back to your warrior. All right, then let's take a moment's break from our thigh and come into triangle pose. Tip forward, hand can be on a block if you want it to be, or hand can be on your leg. Okay, again, depth happens after we find stability, after we figure out our breath, after we feel the sense of freedom in the pose, depth happens. So let your depth come without it sacrificing your breath or your stability. Drop weight into the back heel. Full, beautiful breaths in and long breaths out. All right, come on up. We're going to go to the other side. The other thing that can help stabilize the joint, forgot to mention this on the other side. So if you kind of hang out in Vira up here because your knee feels unstable, try having your knee against something like a block against a piece of furniture so that you can commit to a deeper presence in the pose without losing the stability in your joint. So this knee of mine doesn't allow me to go as deeply as the other side. So this is very helpful to me. I can feel the effort of the pose without feeling like I have, a lot of strain going on in my knee joint. So that can be something to try if that feels good to you. Reach the arms, soften the shoulders, drop some weight, allow the pelvis to turn a little bit toward your front knee if you need it. You don't have to you want to be as open as you can, but don't battle yourself. If you feel like your knee is caving in, better to let the pelvis turn a little bit so we keep the alignment of the heel of the knee and the front sit bone. Find your breath. Let your body shake, soften your shoulders. When you feel ready, reverse your warrior. And then come back. Melt. Feel the resiliency in your mind to stay. The resolute discipline. All right, then come out of there when you feel ready. Tip your body into triangle pose. So the hand can come down onto the block or leg. Drop your shoulders away from the ears. Feel that sense of grounding in your back leg. Can you feel like whatever pose you're in, you're giving full aliveness to all parts of you? So I think we all know the feeling of kind of being 3/4 there or half there in a posture. Can you commit to full there, full feeling in your body, full presence? All right, come back up. You can bring your feet together for a moment. Just have a sense of ease. Find your breathing. Tadasana. All right. So take your legs wider again. We won't stay a super long time here. We've got more things to do. The arms coming up. Exhale. Dropping in to a goddess. Now, same thing. Arms coming up. If you feel like you kind of bend here and that's because of joints, then that's because of joints. That's where you stay. But if you feel like you bend to about here because you don't want to go further because it's too hard, then try today. As you come down, we're going to do one more time. Arms up. And then as you come down, just see how low your body can go. And you can, of course, put your hands on your legs somewhere instead of up. Just try not to lean forward. This changes. It's good pose to do, but it just changes the effort of what we're trying for. And arms go anywhere you want. So find the pathway along that edge. Chest is open. Full breaths. Relax something. And then arms coming back up. Turn back to the front of your mat for a dog pose. All right, so a long, spacious spine. Commit to the breath, a full inhale and exhale, let the neck relax. Come forward into a plank. Hold this nice and steady. Finding your breath. Enduring strong sensation in the service of transformation. Putting yourself in the fire to burn away what's stale. So let your breath move through you. Foregoing instant gratification for something better. And then come down with your knees first. If your shoulders need, come onto your belly. Roll the shoulders a few times. Inhale, cobra pose, big breath. Exhale and melt. Come up onto your hands and your knees. We're going to come into Vasisthasana. Now you can choose a pathway. You can be on your hand and your foot. You can be on hand, knee, and foot. So find the way that works for you. I'm going to be on my hand, knee, and my foot. So, sorry, let's do right side first. Okay, find your breath. Lift up to your chest. If your shoulders feel nice and safe, then perhaps try being on your foot, just your foot and your hand. Okay, so either way, shoulders away from the ears. Find your breath. Come back to a plank. Switch over to the other side. Okay, so now we're going to be on our left. You can either be hand, knee, and foot, or you can stack and be on just your hand and your feet. Big chest open, shoulder blades down. Find your breath, lift up through your hips. And then exhale. Everybody come into child's pose. We're going to repeat that differently again in just a moment, but rest your shoulders. All right, this last one, we're going to use our hip, okay? So we're going to come with our knee on the ground, and we're going to lift our leg in the air. Okay, so find your way. So you can start with your foot on the ground, shoulder blades down, and then lift. I'm lifting this high because my couch is in the way, but you can go, as high or as low from the ground as is comfortable. Knit your ribs in, use your core. Okay, exhale, relax, come to the second side. Okay, so now our knee, our hand, and our foot are lined up. Hand in the air, shoulder blades down, lift that leg. Feel your core help your hips. Big breaths here. Press your shin into the ground. And then relax and find child's pose. Just let your body totally relax. When you're ready, come to stand. Okay, so hopefully your body's very prepared for this. We're just going to do an unusual movement pattern of tipping to the side, so nothing outrageous. Okay, we're going to lift our arms out, lift our left leg out, and tip over to the right. And try to feel the place where balance is at its edge. Okay, use your core. Find your breathing. Now see what it might feel like to close your eyes. Okay, and then come back to center. Take a deep breath, relax. Another beautiful breath in. We're going to tip over to the left. Ground your left foot, arms out. Right leg lifts up. Tip over to the edge of your boundary of balance. Use your core. Plug your limbs into your center. And then see what it might feel like to close your eyes. Try. A lot of times you're like, I think I'll have to do that, and just squint. Try closing your eyes. All right, open them back up. Whoa. Feet down, arms up. Big breath. Exhale and relax. Halfway lift. Melt. Now you have a choice, pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. If you avoid pigeon pose because of joint pain, great, avoid pigeon pose. If you avoid pigeon pose because you don't like the physical sensation of, the pain that comes into your hip, then do pigeon pose. So just notice, it's good to do reverse pigeon. I am not backing away from reverse pigeon, but just know why you make choices. Do you make the choice because it's habit? Do you make the choice because you have a joint that needs it? Do you make the choice because you're feeling like that's more comfortable? Okay, so step outside your comfort if you can. Lengthen through your spine, breathing well, square up the hips, and eventually find your way forward. Head is supported. So now this is the beginning of, Shavasana, the beginning of rest. So what can you do to melt? Through your practice, what did you learn about yourself? What capacity did you gain? So this sadhana, our consistency of our practice, each day a little different, some days softer, some days stronger, all days present. This is really just allowing ourselves to be in the fire of presence. And we gain so much by a consistent yoga practice. And it's not just about now I can touch my toes where before I couldn't. But that is one example of transformation. Our bodies transform, our minds transform, our breath transforms. Come on out of there, and let's change sides. So to take tapas off of your mat and, kind of out of the physical burn, right? The physical fire of exercise, whatever it might be. Maybe it's walking or running or skiing or whatever. Taking it out of the effort of physicality, exercise, come into the posture when you feel ready. See what you can do to bring tapas elsewhere in your day. Maybe you're trying to not have so much of a temper. And so tapas can be patiently waiting for the pause, for the wave of emotion to pass over you before you choose to speak. Tapas can be gaining listening skills. Tapas can be stretching your mind in a puzzle. Tapas can be trying new things and failing, but trying again and again. Tapas can be not reaching for the bottle of wine or the cookie jar. Tapas can be taking a shower every day. What are the things that you do that help move you through stagnation? That take you away from the bondage of being a slave to pleasure, to instant gratification. Tapas can live in your bank account and how you choose to spend your money. In what ways do you delay gratification for a greater you? Okay, let's go ahead and find our way out of there. You come onto your back. Knees into your chest, rock a little bit. Some swaying might feel really nice. Maybe a twist, maybe a happy baby pose. Ask your body what it needs before Shavasana. And whatever you're choosing to do, if it's two-sided, like a twist, make sure you do both sides. And then as you feel ready for it, take any props you want for Shavasana. So, maybe you like to have your knees supported. Maybe you like to just be totally flat. So remember that discipline lives within Shavasana as much as it lives within a plank pose. So teach yourself to stay, to not go wandering. Drop your weight. Feel, especially through your hips and your legs, can you get your femur bones to release to the ground? Let your shoulders relax. Melt your skull. Move yourself fluidly in your breath. And feel the tide of your breath, the inhale, the exhale. Begin to deepen your breathing. slowly invite some movement to the body. When you feel ready, come up to a comfortable seat. Just notice, not just in this moment, but throughout the day, pay attention to the choices you make. And if you can serve your future self by your actions today, can you allow yourself to be inside some heat in the mind, body? Can you feel, as you sit here, a sense of courage lifting in your heart? A sense of internal perseverance and fortitude? Something to lean on in times of trouble. Let's place our hands together and offer this strength to be the supportive ground for someone who's working with their own struggle. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.